with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Time NBA DFS Playbook Show. We got 3 games here on a Tuesday to talk about. Some marquee matchups here. You got the Philadelphia 76ers, Denver Nuggets, Battle of MVPs, Nikola Jokic versus Joel Embiid. I say the winner of tonight's matchup, they just hand the MVP award to, because they'll certainly be looking at this one here tonight. Got Sacramento Phoenix in the mid-slate with a 245, I think I saw last check game total. And then we have a late night hammer, 10 p.m. start, Thunder versus Clippers. And as we alluded to yesterday going into that game against the Lakers, SGA was questionable. Ended up playing. As of now, we don't have an injury report for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So there is a chance that somebody may or may not be in tonight's game against the Clippers. So we'll obviously be watching that one as we go along. We appreciate all of you tuning in here today. If you're in the chat, feel free to pop in, say hi, get your questions in. Happy to answer those. We appreciate you all. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to the channel, don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that like button, subscribe as well. Never miss a show. We go live here every day, 5 o'clock Eastern, to break down the slate. James, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing well. I will say, I don't know if you heard the Joel Embiid comments last night that I think I heard this morning, where they asked him about, they basically asked him, dude, you're plus 500 in the MVP race. Do you think that's disrespectful? And he basically said, this year, I don't care if I win MVP. I just want to be healthy for the playoffs. Kind of punting the MVP this year.
Yeah.
If that's going to be the comments from, the guy who probably has deserved it the most out of anybody, that doesn't sound like he's going to play, or it sounds like he's going to miss more than the 7 or 8 games that he has remaining. Because, as you've seen, because the Celtics and Philly has matched up in the playoffs a couple times in the last couple years, Embiid has not been that healthy going into postseasons and has not looked good. And he's too good to not be good in the postseason. It's we cannot have another James Harden where James Harden is a top 3 player in the NBA and can't do anything in the postseason. So we cannot have another scenario like that. I think Embiid realizes it. So that is an interesting comment that he made last night.
I want to say the other interesting thing, and we're going to go game by game, team by team here for tonight's slate, with it just being 3 games. The first recent run of rostership is interesting. Now, I don't know if it has anything to do with sort of the news from earlier today or last night when guys were listed, as questionable, but Jokic and Jamal Murray and those guys have all been upgraded to probable for today. Yet first ownership, or the most recent ownership run, as Reggie Jackson and Watson and that whole crew as the highest projected roster players tonight. Well, that can't be true if Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. and everybody ends up being ruled in. And again, all of them are upgraded to probable today. Yep. So I have to assume, and this is not just the one that we have, I just double checked some other rostership on, across the industry. The algorithms are all sort of baked into what the news was going into today, the expectation that maybe Denver was going to sit some guys. So while we have updated rostership on site right now, I'm going to tell you to wait till 6:30, 7, whenever the last update comes out to really get an idea of where we're going to go. This is a 7:30 roster lock tonight. So we're 2.5 hours out instead of the usual 2 hours. They have till 7, really to give us the inactives here. So stay tuned, stay close by tonight to get the latest updates on the roster, because nobody's 50% of the field isn't playing Reggie Jackson tonight if Jamal Murray's in, and 40% isn't playing Watson if Aaron Gordon's in. That's just at least my perspective on all this. I know we're on a smaller slate. There's limited value, but I don't think we're going there tonight.
So, since you want to just dive into the Denver side of things?
We'll just break into it. I want to say, Prime, what's up? Happy to have you in the chat. Yeah,
Al Horford has been weirdly good against.
Al Horford has that old man strength. He's been in the league for 2 decades. It feels like, it feels like forever since he won that title with Florida, all the way back in the day.
Shout out Billy Donovan. Shout out Billy Donovan. Corey Brewer. It was Horford, Brewer, and
Joakim Noah on that team, or was that?
I think
the
he
year
was
after?
on the next iteration because they won the back-to-back, right?
Right.
And like Corey Brewer traveling from half.
Shout out Joakim Noah, by the way. I miss you.
Shout out Joakim.
You were fun. You were a fun dude to have on.
I love
DFS.
I love Joakim Noah, dude. I mean, as a Bulls fan, like that was because I grew up end of Jordan era. Like my dad introduced me to MJ. Like used to go to the Izod Center when the Nets played there, in Jersey. But like the Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah teams were like my Bulls teams. That was like the closest I've sniffed to a title. Like 60 win season MVP. And Joakim Noah was him. Dude, Luol Deng, Joakim Noah, and Derrick Rose. That was the dream team. But so back to tonight's slate.
back to 2024.
Shout out Joakim Noah. That is a good.
I blame Prime, threw his way off on a tangent.
Yeah, that's true.
NBA forever.
Yeah, thanks, Prime.
Yeah, so tonight, Denver Nuggets. Yeah.
So look, when you and I talked about it this morning, this game 233. This game has gone up tremendous. To open at 227 has been bet up to 233. Obviously, opened at -4. Books had to put that line. Prime tip of the old ball cap there. They covered themselves with -4. Denver probable tags on everyone. Now it's -1.5. So everything's trending in the right direction. What I will say for the Reggie Jackson portion of this is what you and I talked about last night. He has been the one guy outside of the starting five that has been getting pretty consistent minutes, right? Like 20s. Like he's playing 20 minutes basically every game, 21, 20, 24, 23. He's $3,900. There is not a lot of value when you talk about like the injuries on the slate. Like Keegan Murray played all 82 games last year. Hasn't missed a game this year. Or I missed a game earlier this year. He's played through he's just seems pretty like a durable guy, right? So we don't know if he's going to sit. OKC could rest somebody, and that could open up something, but it's still Mark Daigneault on a back-to-back. We just saw last night they played 12 or 11 guys, multiple stints. Every player last night, 11 guys got at least like 2 shifts. So, there's that factor. So I can understand getting to Reggie Jackson as a value. The Peyton Watson thing is, I like Peyton Watson. But when Denver is playing their starters minutes, it just seems like it's just Reggie Jackson getting any viable time, and then it's just mid to low teens minutes for everybody else. Like there is obviously 20-minute potential for Peyton Watson, but that's not guaranteed. That's not 50% owned guaranteed. And same thing for Christian Brown, who's 30% owned in his own right. For me, I'm in agreement on everything except the Reggie Jackson front. I would probably take a shot on Reggie Jackson just because the minutes do seem secure and he's under 4K.
Or you think that Philly is just that good, Embiid's going to shut them out, sit the 3 quarters, and Denver's going to have their scrubs in late or something like that. But I think this has a lot to do with the questionable tags on everybody and the algos that everybody's running out there is kind of assuming that they may not play based off the morning reporting, but that's since been updated. So again, we have the updated roster on site. I would definitely wait and we'll announce that in our Discord. If you haven't already, like and subscribe today's show. Definitely got to get in that. But if you're not already a member of the Fantasy Line family, you're obviously missing out there as well. All Pro package right now. We do both monthly and annual. The annual is 40% off. The month-to-month package there, you can scan that QR code or go to fantasyalarm.com/win. You get our premium Discord included in that, where myself, James, Grande, Sean Mitchell, Dylan Clemens, along with, Howard Bender and Andrew Cooper, the whole team, in there, the Discord, answering your questions, getting you all ready for your site, not just for NBA, but NHL, PGA, all the good stuff. We cover it all. It's all premium. It's all part of one package. We'll be in the Discord updating all the news. So if you don't want to have miss out on the updates, you got to get in the Discord to let you know what's going on there. From the Denver side of things, those we expect to play, we liked it, right? It's very straightforward. They play their starting 5. They play them a lot of minutes. We know where the ball tends to go with the starting 5 when they're all healthy. You know what JoJo's capable of doing, or Jokic, not Jokic. Jokic here, not Joel Embiid. Jesus. Murray, Porter, Gordon, KCP, that's the 5.
Yeah, and I think whatever iteration you want to get to, you can. Jokic has a tough matchup, but that doesn't matter for any Jokic because he's who he is. He's an elite basketball player.
I was trying to see if there was like any comp, but obviously there's no comp to Joel Embiid, but
no,
he hasn't really had like a tough center matchup per se. I mean, Yusuf Nurkic has been a guy that generally is a tougher defender. He had pretty good success in that matchup against Phoenix, 21, 5, and 16. Yep. Houston's not really a great defensive team. Orlando, not a great defensive team, went for 80. I mean, maybe Jared Allen, this matchup against Cleveland all the way back. He had 18, 10, and 7 in 28 minutes in that game because they lost by double digits. I mean, I don't know where there would be any sort of like comparable spot to match him up. I mean, the Pelicans with Vucevic, he just went for 27, 10, and 14. Not Vucevic, Valanciunas. So, this is really the litmus test for both centers in this matchup, really.
He did face Minnesota earlier in the year, and like the 5th game of the year. All I could think of was the Jamal Murray quote about Rudy Gobert, where he's like, "Don't double," and Jamal Murray says, "I heard Jokic say, brother, I have 40."
And Denver only scored 89 in that game. So.
Yeah, they did get housed in that game. No, I know that was an outdated quote. Again, I'm blaming Prime for all this stuff, but I mean, if you want to get to Jokic, he's like the lowest owned nugget of the night, John. 6% of the field is getting to Nikola Jokic. You want to talk about leverage, like going from Joel Embiid, who's 24%, to Nikola Jokic, who is 6%. Like for $100 more, you're talking about Joel Embiid 11.4 versus Nikola Jokic 11.5. I'm not saying Jokic doesn't have the tougher matchup because he does. Jokic is a much worse defender than Joel Embiid is. But Nikola Jokic can triple-double with 30 points against basically any defender around. So as long as his team's making shots and isn't actually not healthy, they should make shots because they're the defending champs. You can definitely get leverage off of Embiid playing Jokic. There should not be an 18% discrepancy on a 3-game slate, right?
I agree.
Joel Embiid is 25% or 24%, and Jokic is 6%. That discrepancy should not be there. He's a smidge. Embiid on DraftKings is $100 cheaper.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I wonder if maybe when the ownership does get updated, if that changes a little bit more people get in on the Joker because of it seems like the way the algo is moving with guys maybe not playing or whatnot. But, we'll see. We'll see which way that goes here. Outside of that, I mean, again, I like Jamal Murray. I like MPJ. Aaron Gordon's got a double upside here. KCP, he's going to be chasing around Maxey tonight. What's your thoughts on the secondary, please?
I like the price points on Porter coming off a ceiling game. He's now back-to-back big-time games. Anytime Michael Porter's like rebounding too, there's always a big ceiling on him because his shot-making ability. So love to see 7 threes and 8 rebounds. I don't think the 5 assists is more of an anomaly than anything, but back-to-back 40-plus fantasy point games like that. We know Aaron Gordon has a ceiling. Sometimes goes missing offensively, but he's been pretty good since returning from his incident. KCP, last piece in, 4,600. He's going to play big minutes. You mentioned it. He's going to be chasing Tyrese Maxey around. KCP is going to get somewhere between probably like 5 to 10 shots per night. If he makes 4 threes, you're cooking with something because he's pretty good peripherally, gets steals, gets a couple of rebounds and assists here and there. So you need him to make the best of his opportunities. And we saw in 3 of the last 4 games, he's made 4+ shots, has had double-figure scoring in 4 straight. And in 3 of those, he's gone 23, 25, 29 fantasy points. So you'll live with all 3 of those outcomes. Even 19.5 you'd probably live with, which is why a $4,600 KCP is getting ownership. I think you can get to any and all of these guys.
Yeah.
And again, same thing I said last night. I would throw Reggie Jackson into that
Sure.
fold as like going to play 20 minutes, seemingly going double guard a lot, and 3,900 is pretty good price because there's not a lot of those players on this slate.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about one right now. I guess that we could we discussed more expensive But, Pat Beverly was the other value sort of guard in this matchup we had taken some considerations with here. He's 4,600. He's been playing some decent minutes, 3 of the last 4 games here. Each of the last 2, no DeAnthony Melton now again out of the lineup. We're kind of opening up some minutes for him. If you had to pick, obviously one is $700 cheaper, but are you more in on Reggie Jackson or Patrick Beverly?
I mean, I guess it depends on like what your
roster build.
Yeah, I mean, $700 is a good amount of money to save. I would say Patrick Beverly has done a lot lately, like peripherally. Really good. I mean, 5+ rebounds, or 5, 9, 3, 4 rebounds last 4 games, 7, 2, 7, 6 assists. The scoring is very up and down. I would say Reggie Jackson definitely has him in that category in terms of like just a better scorer overall. But it is, I mean, Philly's hurt, dude. Like, it's not just Melton. Like, they're down Bamba. They're down Jaden Springer, who had entered the rotation. I mean, if you look at Jaden Springer, before that Sacramento game, 13, 13, 15, 21 minutes in 4 games prior. Bob Cove is out. Like, Beverly is going to play a role because they're just kind of, they don't really, they don't play Paul Reed anywhere but center. He only plays backup 5. Marcus Morris, you don't know if he's going to play 28 minutes or 14 minutes, but it seems like they want to keep him more in the teens in terms of minutes.
And it feels like a spot where Beverly would just run around with Jamal Murray in this.
Yes, and it feels like a spot that they need Patrick Beverly to, and Reggie Jackson for that matter, because Reggie Jackson is a good scorer off the bench. So I like Beverly if you can get there. Another like leverage play, right? Like Reggie Jackson's 50% owned, who's going to play low 20s minutes. And I don't think there's much of a ceiling for him to play many more minutes, where Beverly's giving us kind of like the like, look at the 3 of the last 4, 27 plus minutes. So it seems like Beverly's minute ceiling is higher. And the peripheral stats have been better. So if I have the money, I'd lean a lower owned Beverly. If I don't, like, just eat the chalk and play Reggie Jackson because he's 3,900.
Sure. Up at the top, obviously, you have Embiid and Maxey. With those 2 guys going the way they're going, I have less interest in Harris and Oubre while everybody's healthy.
Yep.
Are you worried at Maxey at all at $9,400 with Embiid back here?
No, I mean, at 40 fantasy points yesterday, we know he's been really good with Embiid all year. The only thing ever with Tyrese Maxey is like he's more impacted by blowouts than Joel is, because when it's a blowout, Joel has 40 and 10 like he had yesterday. Where like
the blowout is because of Joel.
Yeah, yeah. So like, this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a great game. I hope it's a great game. I'm perfectly fine getting to Embiid. Perfectly fine getting to Maxey.
If you think that Embiid is going to be hampered at all by the Joker in this one, like Maxey's actually the perfect pivot down, right? Because he has the, in theory, easier matchup there. But obviously, there are some guys that just don't get defended, and Embiid is trending towards being one of those plays. One of the reasons why I think, I almost have limited exposure in some early runs. Like, I don't mind the value in this game is because I like Sacramento Phoenix. I mean, I'm not saying anything nobody else knows. It's a 245 game total and a close spread, all for that reason. But you go to Sacramento here, you have Sabonis at 10-1. We've seen what he's certainly been capable of doing this season. Again, more recently, coming off 67 fantasy points with a triple-double against the Bucks. Nearly triple-double against Charlotte. If it wasn't for the blowout there, triple-double against Detroit. Did face Philadelphia where they had Joel Embiid. Still went for 14, 12, and 5. They got blown out, 33 minutes. Not the greatest spot for him there, but you want to go up there, that's fine. Fox 9K, but then Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, like guys in the mid-tier here, certainly standing out.
Yeah, I mean, Fox is obviously, or Sabonis is obviously an elite play against really anybody at this point. I guess outside of Philly, who, they
say that about anybody really,
Yeah, I mean, they get blown out. But he's been elite. So if you want to save $1,400 and $1,500 or $1,300 and $1,400 respectively on DraftKings to get to Sabonis off of Embiid and Jokic, you definitely can. Fox is fine, but Malik Monk and Keegan Murray, like you said, have been tremendous. Malik Monk, 6,500. I said he should probably be a 7K player at this point. They're not using a backup point guard. They're using Malik Monk as a backup point guard. he's also the backup too. So like that's why we're seeing an extended Malik Monk in terms of minutes. I know that game was overtime, but still 30 minutes in regulation. Also had something to do with the Keegan Murray absence, but 27 plus minutes for Malik Monk seems all but assured. If it's 30, if it's a close game, probably 30. And you've seen 28, 15, 20, 20 actual in in the last 4 games. Each game he scored 20 points. He scored 35 plus fantasy points, 2 of which he's gone over 40. So I love Malik Monk in tournaments. This is a guy on the year, 24.5% usage rate. That's higher than Domantas Sabonis, second on the team, only to De'Aaron Fox. 1.14 fantasy points per minute is third on the team behind Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. So you want to talk about just an elite mid-tier option despite coming off the bench. There's just nothing anyone can do when this guy gets going. Like he can get to the rim. He's super crazy athletic, dunking the basketball. He can space the floor. He can shoot from 40 feet. Like he's a really good passer. If he gets going, it's curtains for defenses. And this seems like another spot that, Phoenix is good. They're working on a lot of stuff. They give up a lot of points to a 8-man Portland team the other night, right? Like who was playing like Chris Murray, Keegan Murray's twin brother, and Ryan Rupert was going at him. So like if those guys are going at you, I think Malik Monk's not going to have much of a problem.
Yeah, I got upset today doing some best ball underdog battle royal drafts, and Monk was kind of ranked low in the ADPs. I had him in my queue, trying to squeeze him out in like the 5th round, and someone reached and took him in round 4. I was like, that's a sharp player right there, just skimming past like 10 other players to go find Malik Monk for their lineup. So again, one of the reasons why I think you can find that one spend up, because there is going to be a lot of mid-tier guys that I think we like here today. Obviously, if Keegan Murray is in, that man right now has been a sharpshooter outside of the injury game against Milwaukee. Recent production out of him has been really good. Kevin Huerter's $5,500. I don't know. I would actually bet against him having the ceiling game again. 38 minutes, 10 of 14 shooting. But obviously, if there's no Keegan Murray, someone's got to pick up some of those shot attempts, right? And Huerter is somebody that outside of this year has been a pretty good player in the NBA. And then a direct relation to the injury to Keegan Murray was Trey Lyles getting 33 minutes in that game. So some lower plays, some value plays here for Sacramento.
Yeah, if Keegan plays, I'm okay getting to Keegan Murray as well. If Keegan Murray plays, I'm kind of on the thinking with you. The first 2 people that get squeezed from Sacramento's lineup is Huerter and Harrison Barnes, right? Like if they're not making shots, they're going to go to Lyles and they're going to go to Monk. If there's no Keegan Murray, less likely Huerter gets squeezed, as we saw 39 minutes in that game. So I think it would be wise to have some interest. Without Keegan Murray, 0.92 fantasy points per minute for Kevin Huerter. That's solid, 0.92. Nothing to like suggest he's going to go for another 50 bomb, but it's solid. And yeah, Lyles likely starts here if there's no, you're going to get the Kevin Durant assignment, which is not that fun, but like 33-minute upside, probably a little bit more considering Keegan Murray started that game. So probably 35-minute upside for Trey Lyles.
If you're picking one of Lyles or Harrison Barnes, you're going Trey Lyles, I imagine.
Oh, not even close. Harrison Barnes, like I'm happy for him that he scored 14 points, but that's just good.
Phoenix side of this game, obviously a bit more appealing from a top end talent standpoint. Durant, Booker, Beal. Now, Beal is someone that I consider to be a core play for this slate. He was a cover of the show this morning. One of the guys I plugged into a lot of lineups and early builds. $7,400 for him just feels way too cheap given the way he has performed lately. It's now been, I think it was like 5 of the last 7 or 6 of the last 8 games. He scored at least 21 or more actual points in those games. We're getting decent secondary stats. The fantasy points have been there. And again, he's $7,400. He's not $9K, like Booker and Durant. Booker's shown the more consistent higher ceiling. Durant seems to be the one taking the hit with Beal's recent surge. But we certainly know what he can be capable of in these matchups. So how do you rank out the top 3 Phoenix plays?
Per dollar, Bradley Beal is probably still one now. In 150 minutes that they've shared the floor together, Beal has the lowest fantasy point per minute output and usage rate, but that's steady climbing. 1.07 fantasy points per minute is still really good. 19.5% usage rate, not great, but that's only, I mean, Durant's only at 20%. Devin Booker has just been far and away the best of the three in terms of usage rate and fantasy point per minute. I go Beal, Booker, Durant, but if you want to put Booker number one, I mean, the numbers suggest it. Like, he's been super elite. 27.7% usage rate with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal on the floor. That's big time. 7% higher than Durant, 8% higher than Bradley Beal,
Yep.
and 1.27 fantasy points per minute. Durant's at 1.1 and Beal's at 1.07. So, like, clearly kind of like Booker, then Durant, Beal, but like Beal's price obviously is the most appealing. Nurkic still 1.34 fantasy points per minute with those three guys on the floor. Like, still
he's
big time fantasy production.
15, 9, and 3 in 30 minutes against Sacramento. Obviously, earlier this season, just went for 40 and 27 minutes. His rebounding such an elite, stat for him in this group, because like Durant kind of just chills on the outside now, and when Nurkic is out there, we're just obviously hurting Durant because if Durant's not getting secondary stats with assists and rebounds, then the numbers for him are going to go down outside of the elite scoring here. I don't find myself getting Nurkic at all, but obviously you can if you want in that matchup. Value for me, I mean, I mentioned Grayson Allen, but he is $5,800. Eric Gordon's 42, and then our guy Cam the Man wants to know the Matu revenge narrative off tonight.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like because it's a revenge narrative. I do think that like Drew Eubanks is once again kind of got iced last game against Portland. Chimezie Metu probably is their backup center here. So that opens the door for, I mean, Nurk doesn't play 30 minutes, right? He plays like 27, 28. So there's always potential for a backup big. If they don't go Kevin Durant at the 5, which I don't think they would against Sabonis, that would be pretty criminal for Durant to be guarding Sabonis. But I could see Matu playing another 17 minutes like he did in the Portland game. And if he gives you 18 fantasy points at 3,600, like, he's $300 less than a 50% owned Reggie Jackson.
Right.
Who's to say Chimezie Metu doesn't outscore Reggie Jackson tonight in fantasy production? Like, he has that like built-in advantage as a big, where he's going to be closer to the rim. There's going to be more rebound opportunities for him than Reggie Jackson. He is 22% owned, so it's not like this isn't like a surprise. Here I am, like this is a sneaky play. But I do think there is some merit getting to Chimezie Metu.
Dart throw there, $3,600 for sure. Moving on over to late night game here at 10 p.m. OKC versus the Clippers. Again, the Thunder have not yet put out an official injury report, so nobody
should come out now. It should 5:30. It comes out hourly, so we should. I'm updating to see if we've had anything. I don't see anything submitted on NBA.com yet, so I'll keep us posted.
Yeah, I haven't got any push notification alerts yet. Obviously, SGA was questionable going into last night's game. Played, so this is the second leg of a back-to-back. They didn't have to travel playing against the Lakers last night. But they did play a lot of guys. They played, 11 or 12 men last night here. So we did get some limitations for a few. SGA was not one of them. He played 34 minutes. It was not his best performance in that game, given what we're come to expect out of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Chet Holmgren, sort of the same deal, played 30 minutes in that. Not a great game for him. Had 5 fouls. Tough spot against Anthony Davis, who played for him. Better matchup tonight against the Clippers. Jalen Williams did have another great game. That was $7,300 for him. 35 minutes, 10 of 18 shooting. And then Josh Giddey, someone that you and I are going to talk a little bit about here tonight, got off to a wild start to that game. Pretty much had what you see here minus like 3 points in the first 7 minutes of the game. Only played 22 minutes in the front leg of a back-to-back, and that is notable because their trend for him this year has been to play fewer minutes on the front end of back-to-backs and more minutes on the second leg of back-to-backs. Don't look at this most recent back-to-back because they beat Portland by 50. So he only played 22 minutes to do that blow, but go look at the other back-to-backs. Some good minutes there for Josh Giddey in that rotation here. Then Lou Dort at $5,400. Where's your go-to when it comes to the Thunder here tonight, James?
Jalen Williams. He's just been not that I don't think you can get to SGA because you can. But not that you can't get to Chet because you can. We're going to talk about what the Clippers are going to do at center, and it's either small ball or Tice Plumlee, right? Like or combination of all three. There's probably going to be a combination of all three. So like Chet has a really good individual matchup. I think Jalen Williams has just been consistently the most consistent at the price that he's been given, right? Like, yeah, his price went up $400, but this is something we talked about yesterday. It should be 7K plus because he still gave us 44 fantasy points. You get 44 fantasy points at 7,300. Guess what? That's still flames. You're still super happy with that output. And that's kind of what he's been doing. Now, it's good to see too. Like the rebounds go down, and he still gets us there because he gets 3 steals and can score 25 in a night. Like he is such a good secondary scorer to SGA, constantly attacking the rim. Can't wait till he starts getting to the free throw line more. Like this is going to be a guy who's scoring 20 a night, like every night when he's taking more than 2-3 free throws a game, especially for someone who goes to the basket so much. You would think, like,
yeah, agreed. I also think this is a great spot for a Chet bounce back. Given the matchup for him here. Obviously no Ivica Zubac, which means you're going to have Daniel Tice, who started the other night, or Plumlee, who is certainly not someone that's going to go up to the perimeter there and defend Holmgren while he's shooting some threes. Now I know we joked on the show a bunch of times about Daniel Tice winning the Bundesliga Defensive Player of the Year award, back in like 2010 or whatever, but Chet should really have his way. He still had 8 rebounds. He still had 3 blocks and a steal. He just didn't score. He got in foul trouble. I mean, that's going to happen against Anthony Davis. Daniel Tice is not Anthony Davis. He should have a lot more success scoring the basketball, especially if SGA ends up not playing in this game. Again, we don't know for sure the status. He very well could play. He doesn't miss many games. So, but either way, I think there's a good spot for Holmgren to kind of have a ceiling matchup. The Clippers have struggled against centers in general. If they do go small ball, it's not like Chet is incapable of stretching out the floor defensively and offensively here. So I don't see him like losing any rotational minutes in this spot. So I don't mind him at 82 and Williams at 73. It is just the giddy play here now. It's, again, going back through the back-to-backs that he's had here, he's generally played more minutes on the second leg than the front leg in these situations. And we know that he's been a fantasy point per minute monster. If SGA is out, a lot of people will be playing $6,800 Josh Giddey. If the Clippers go smaller, it could also force the Thunder to kind of keep him on the floor if they're going the Harden, Westbrook lineup or Powell or whatever. So I do like getting tournaments here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he's a super high fantasy point per minute guy. It's just always about the minutes. You said it. The data backs it up that he's going to play more on the second leg of a back-to-back. Probably, I mean, well on his way in the Portland game if they don't win by 62, right? If it's not like one of the record-setting victories. So really no issues getting there. It's not a cash play. It's a tournament play because it's not like his price is going down. But this is a spot where I'm skeptical Tice or Plumlee like plays a lot.
Right.
I think the Clippers just go small ultimately, which doesn't hurt Josh Giddey. Like just more guards to be on the floor for. I mean, the Thunder like going small anyway, right? Like Chet and then 4 small guys. Like it's just what they're. I mean, Jalen Williams 6'7" power forward, Kendrick Williams 6'5" backup center. Like there's not a lot of like size when they don't go Jalen Williams with a Y on OKC. So yeah, I like Giddey. It's just you have to be sure that either this is a good enough spot, in your opinion, to where he's going to get like 35 fantasy points essentially, or he's going to play 26 minutes, like 35 fantasy points in low 20s, or he's going to play 26 to
he's a great 3-game slate tournament play, right? Because he could go for 50 and probably have low ownership because people are very worried about the back-to-back and the minutes here. That he's played at times, but if we do get 28 minutes out of him, which is really all you need from what we've seen, and we talked about this with Wembanyama, right? I'm not calling him Victor Wembanyama. Please do not do not take this out of context, those of you who are tuning in. But I mean, very few guys can give you 50 fantasy points in 22 minutes like he did against Portland,
right.
In the league. It's the elite of elites. And I get it's because he fills up the stat sheet that he's capable of doing that. But there aren't that many guys that have done it. And he's done it, a couple of times, 42 in 27 minutes. He gave you 41 and 29 against Sacramento. He's got another big game down here somewhere on the board where, again, 20-ish minutes, 40 fantasy points is something that he has given us, on more than one occasion this year. So he doesn't need a lot of time to do it. His guard matchups tonight going to be Westbrook. It's going to be Harden. It's going to be Norm Powell. Like, those aren't terrible spots for Giddey to go out and just be aggressive. If the Clippers go small, I think it gives him a decent rebounding ceiling here tonight as well. It's one of the reasons why on our Underdog Fantasy article that I gave out there today, I took the over 10.5 assists plus rebounds for Josh Giddey tonight over on Pick'em. You guys can see the QR code there on the screen. If you want to scan that QR code or go to fanstom.com/underdog fantasy, use promo code ALARM. You got a 100% deposit match there for new users. But I took Giddey over to the 10.5 plus rebounds and assists tonight. He's going over this total over 60% of the time this year when he's played at least 20 minutes. And then over the last over the last 7 games, he's played at least 25. He's hit it in 5 of those. So Giddey's a guy that can fill up the stat sheet and get it going for everybody tonight in DFS. I think, especially if he gets that minutes boost that we are expecting out of him here this evening.
Yeah. Apparently the Thunder
have
submitted nobody on the injury report. Also, every G Leaguer with the team.
Love it.
So every member of the Oklahoma City are with the team.
So here's
that is worst case scenario with Mark Dagnall.
So blame the Nets for this, because the Nets.
Oh, I see where we're going.
The Nets, if you remember, started their starters, and
they started. It was started.
Bridges.
Three of them were ruled out with injuries, and then they started Bridges and Cam Thomas.
And then blame the Celtics then, because the Celtics against Milwaukee started their starters, and then none of them played the second half of that game. The Nets, as you mentioned, ruled out 3 of their starters, started Mikal Bridges and Cam Thomas, or Spencer Dinwiddie.
And Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas, and then did not play them in the second half of that game.
I think even Day'Ron Sharpe. Remember, Day'Ron Sharpe even got ice from the rotation in that game. They just let pure G Leaguers look.
So there is a chance, given the trend of the NBA now, we've seen 2 teams do it: start starters and then bench them in the second half of the game on the second leg of back-to-backs. Boston had the home road. They went to OT against Minnesota, went into Milwaukee. Their starters got hammered. They were down 40, I think, going into halftime, and they were just like, nope, you guys are done. You pretty much called out what the Nets were going to do prior to that game. You mentioned that they mentioned resting guys. They mentioned maybe changing up some things. Then sure enough, you said, hey, all these guys from the G League are now up with the team. Watch out, folks. And that is what happened here. Okay, now play the theory out, James. The Thunder have their entire G League team with them. Can you confidently play anybody on the Thunder tonight? Probably can't.
I mean,
are you playing Poku now? Are you throwing
no. I mean, that's not great, because Mark Dagnall plays 11 guys on front ends of back-to-backs. And then second legs of back-to-backs, it's kind of, I'm trying to look at the OKC schedule here just to see if we have 3 and 4, 5 and 7, one of those where Dagnall's looking to get people rest. So they played Monday, Tuesday. They play Thursday, Saturday. So this is a 4-week schedule, or 4-game schedule for OKC this week. I mean, there's always a chance, right, that they are looking for a spot. They have to go from this LA back-to-back to Utah.
Sure.
And Utah, we know how good Utah's been on at home. Then they have to go to Minnesota. So this is their 4th straight road, or they'll have 4 road games this week. Now they have a really young team, but Brooklyn's young. Like, who on Brooklyn was old that needed to be ruled out? Or that's scary, dude. Because Dagnall's a guy who plays a lot of people anyway.
The line hasn't moved too much. The Clippers are still just giving 6.5.
Okay. I mean, the total hasn't moved.
Usually Vegas has like a feeling on these things, right? Like,
yes. There's usually weird line movement.
Right? If they were going to sit these guys, but maybe Vegas can't figure it out either because they're not on the injury list and like, yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Can you tweet? You should tweet at a Thunder beat reporter. Just be like, hey, ask them about all their G Leaguers being up. You know,
I did. I did tweet at a Thunder beat reporter because he's the one who posted about the injury report. And I commented basically like, well, it doesn't look like they're reported. It's one of those rare situations, I got clarification, where because it's not appearing, they have everybody with the team because they're not listing the G Leaguers out. Because like when you have like two-way players and stuff, you usually, if they're with the G League team, they'll be listed out, right? Or they'll be listed questionable. And then you find out later, player X is with my team. They're not listing anybody because everybody's with the team. So that's scary because they have 18 guys on their team available to play. Now, they can't technically play 18. Like 15 will dress. But that's 15 guys at Mark Dagnall's at Mark Dagnall's side that he could call on. I am just saying that because like we've seen it twice now that Brooklyn sat and bench guys and Boston straight up benched everyone at after half. Both those situations, by the way, the players that played and then got subbed out, the team did not get fined for. And that's something that we talked about, right? Like the key is apparently that's fine. The league set a precedent. If they start the game, they don't have to finish it. Just start the game and you won't get fined. Players are ruled out for injuries that weren't existing, you'll get fined. So it is something to monitor. OKC's really young. Probably fine to play them all. Like if you want to play SGA, you want to play Jalen, you want to play Chet.
I was already playing fairly light tonight, but that may reduce a couple of entries for me tonight because I like Giddey. I like taking shots at Giddey in tournaments. I'm not going to completely remove Thunder from my build here, but that is certainly a bit concerning. How does that make you feel about the Clippers side of things now? Like if those guys sit out, this game won't be competitive for very long, right?
Yeah, no, it won't. Now, again, I think like if you're playing cash games, okay, let for the cash players, I don't think you can comfortably get to anything here. Just knowing what's happening around the league or has happened. And I'm not saying this is one of the situations. Can be though. I think this is a situation you likely avoid. Or if you're going to play cash, max one. Like you can't max 3, 4, whatever. But it is worth mentioning that there is a little sketchiness to all this with them having the whole team available. So I'm good getting to Chet. I'm good getting to Jalen. Good getting to Giddey in tournaments. Good getting to SGA in tournaments. You can probably make a case for like Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe. I think Kenrich Williams gets extended here tonight with the fact that the Clippers are likely going to play a lot of small ball lineups here. So like I think you can get to any of those 3 guys, but it's all kind of sketchy.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's tough, right? I mean, the Clipper side of things has some great plays. I like the Westbrook and Norm Powell value at $5,900 and $5,100, thinking they go small ball. But if they're only going to play 20 minutes, 25 minutes in a blowout, are they going to be there enough?
So I think I think those two specifically, like when you talk about the Clippers, I feel pretty good about Westbrook. Like he has gotten some like fourth quarter blowout run at times where he sneaks into like the 20s in minutes. You date back to the OKC game where they lost by 20. Then the game next next versus Brooklyn, he plays 21 minutes. Westbrook is like one of the first, like my core building blocks tonight. Really good fantasy point per minute. Without Zubats, we saw them give Daniel Tice 21 minutes, and we saw them give Plumlee 15, right? The way that positions work, there's 48 minutes per position. That's 36 minutes between Plumlee and Tice. They went small for 12 minutes, right? Like they went small for a full quarter, essentially, which helps Russell Westbrook, right? That helps Russell Westbrook. He's a great rebounding guard. If you go small, you need those types of players. We saw him go, and in this game against Minnesota, against a team that plays 2 7-footers in the front court, he played 30 minutes. So Russell Westbrook is kind of a building block for me, regardless of situation in OKC. Norm, we've seen as well, kind of be blowout proof at times. Like he's going to play mid-20s minutes. If his shot's falling, there's room for 30, and he's another guy that benefits from the Clippers going small ball because, again, if they're not playing a traditional center, Norm's not getting taken out for any, like he's just on the floor to space. Like they're obviously, if you're going small, you're spacing. So Norm Powell being a 46, by the way, percent 3-point shooter this year, 46%. Like we know Norm's a bucket. Yeah. That is not normally. Like Norm is not a 46% 3-point shooter, but salute to Norm for what he's been at. Those would probably be like if we run into any sketchiness with the OKC guys tonight, like not playing full allotment minutes. Right. Norman Westbrook would probably be the 2 guys I'm most comfortable getting to of the group.
Yeah, again, for some picks that I gave out tonight, assuming he gets the minutes increase like we're thinking with small ball, I went over 4.5 assists for Russell Westbrook tonight. I think the over 4.5 assists is a pretty strong number. You can get that over on Underdog. You can also get that over on Sleeper as well. Promo code for Sleepers out there. If you go to fantasy.com/sleeper or scan the QR code using promo code VAULT3, you'll get a $100 deposit match there with your first deposit. It's a good number. 4.5 assists is a good number. You've seen Russell Westbrook when he's played at least 20 minutes this year. Has gone over that number a good amount of times. And if you're going to tell me he's going to play around 30 minutes, passing the ball to Norm and Harden and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, he's a pretty ball dominant guy. He's more of their traditional point guard when on the floor. There's a good chance he goes over the 4.5 tonight. He's been pretty close with assist numbers just playing the minutes he's playing anyways. So if you're going to tell me now he's basically going to double up his minutes, there's a good chance that he goes over the 4.5 assists. He's averaging 4.7 assists per game on the year anyways in just 23 minutes. So I like the Russell Westbrook over 4.5 assist prop tonight. And just, again, the value on this one. But the rest of this team is just good value anyways. Kawhi Leonard at 85, Paul George at 84, Harden at 81. That, considering what the cost of like Durant and all those other guys are, there's some good, Maxey and Fox and all them. You're getting a discount on those 3 right there.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, they're all really good fantasy producers without Ivica Zubats, and like I think that makes sense because they're all like really good at doing a lot of different things, right? Like none of them are just like scorers or passers. Like Russell Westbrook and James Harden are like the most prolific triple doublers outside of Nikola Jokic we've had in the last how many years, right? And both of them well over 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Without Ivica Zubats, Kawhi Leonard 1.3 fantasy points per minute this year, 27.5% usage rate. Paul George 31% usage rate without Ivica Zubats this year, 1.29 fantasy points per minute. Westbrook 1.27, Harden 1.26. They have like a lot of really high octane fantasy scores without Zubats. So I like all 4 plus Norm. You can take a dart on Daniel Tice. Yeah. Have we looked at the ownership on Daniel Tice? I'm assuming he's going to be 22%. The field is definitely getting to Daniel Tice. I don't know, man. He's going to low 20s minutes doesn't feel no minutes restriction for Joel Embiid per Nick Nurse.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I'm highly interested in the Clippers tonight. Getting the OKC team on a back-to-back at home. OKC plays really fast. They're top 10 in the league in that category. Good defensive team, but like getting tired legs, second leg of a back-to-back. Give me all the Clippers exposure we can possibly get. Westbrook, John, he's the lowest owned of the bunch. I'm telling you right now, he's my favorite Clipper of the night.
Yeah.
I'm riding and dying with this ship. I don't know if we get 30 minutes from Russell Westbrook, but like we're gonna see Russell Westbrook like operating as like the center at times in this because he's like just
he's
what
not
he is.
playing
Like,
the center. He'll
I
be
mean,
out.
It doesn't matter. I mean, no one's gonna be.
Paul George will play the 5. We saw that last year.
Well, like it's gonna be a collective.
Yes, they're gonna go small. He'll be out there with you'll see a lineup probably of like Norm and Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi and George, or swapping Terrence Mann for Norm Powell or something like that. They're gonna go small tonight at times for sure, unless Chet's just completely bodying them. But Paul George is 6'10". He can go out there and defend Chet Holmgren here. So.
Is he 6'10"? He's like 6'8", 6'9", right?
I thought he was taller than that.
I don't think he's 6'10". I mean, maybe. We never know. I mean, Kevin Durant says he's 6'9". He's
That's like, Kevin Garnett was never a 7-footer either. So
yeah, I mean, dude.
Anyway, so build a lineup here tonight. You want to start off with Russell then?
Yeah, let's start off with Westbrook. I am very comfortable getting to Russ.
What's our number one spend up tonight? Is it Joel?
I mean, it's Joel. We talked about it for all those that missed the start of the show. Like, Joel Embiid is 3x or 4x Nikola Jokic ownership. If you're playing a tournament tonight and you think Jokic is the equivalent play to Embiid or can surpass Joel Embiid in terms of fantasy points, then I would rather play Jokic in tournaments. Like, it's just $100 cheaper. Now, if you don't, I think Embiid has the infinitely better matchup against Jokic. Like, Jokic is a far worse defender.
Embiid's $100 cheaper than Jokic on DraftKings.
And Embiid's $100 cheaper, and Jokic is a worse defender. So, like, there's a lot going for him. Jokic isn't the one in the back-to-back or coming off a injury, even though there's an injury designation apparently on Nikola Jokic with a hip. But,
we've definitely talked, obviously, like, some fair and balanced-ish lineups given kind of the stars on this slate. I mean, I liked Bradley Beal, if I can just find him here.
Beal and Monk.
Monk, Beal. Why am I? That's why I'm clicking the wrong team. Beal, Monk, 2 guys that we were high on tonight as well. Where else were we going on the Denver side of things? We liked. You were in on Reggie Jackson. I think that's fine for some value. If you want to get it.
I would say it's Jackson versus Beverly. If you're picking between a cheap guard, like Beverly, I think Beverly is the better low-owned play, but Jackson is cheaper, obviously, by $800.
Do we get any exposure to well, I guess we probably can't. We'd have to move somebody out for Giddey. Like, what's your plug for the Thunder tonight? Are you now very weary?
I don't think we have to have Thunder exposure if we are uncomfortable with it. My plug would be if we played anyone, J-Dub, Jalen Williams would probably be the guy that I would play. But again, we don't have to necessarily play anybody.
Well, we got $6,400 left. We got a couple of positions still, mostly the forwards and center spots. You got a favorite forward, Norm. It's at 51 down here.
Good with Norm for sure. Good with Norm.
Okay, $6,800. If we were to go,
I was thinking the same thing.
So what is that? Trey Lyles then probably.
You would probably in this build have to go back to Reggie Jackson.
Okay.
Over Beverly.
Yeah, I get the value there.
39.
I'll give you a 5K forward.
Batum, or I like Isaiah Joe off the bench.
Joe's probably pretty interesting, right? Because he would likely he would be the one to get minutes, right?
He missed all his shots last night, which was tilting because I had a little exposure to Isaiah Joe in tournament.
But if you're assuming that that they're going to do that sit. Again, those of you who are just tuning in, appreciate you all showing up to the show. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, the Thunder apparently have their entire G League with them today. They haven't submitted, or they did submit an injury report.
They did submit.
Nobody is listed on the injury report, but this being a second leg of a back-to-back and them having 4 games this week, they play next on Saturday against the Jazz.
Next Thursday, then Saturday.
Thursday.
They have a 4-game week. Thursday, Saturday.
This being the second of their 4 games. So they play Thursday against Utah.
Yep.
We think it's a little suspicious. We've seen two teams already this year. The Nets, who benched some guys and then rested some guys in the second half and got fined for it. And then the Celtics saw what the Nets did to get fined and decided, okay, well, we'll just play our guys for the first half and then sit them in the second half. There's a chance that that's what the Thunder do tonight. They're not going to come out and say, yes, our plan is to bench these guys in the second half, because that would probably violate some of the league's rules here for resting players. But there is a chance, with this being the second leg of a back-to-back and guys like SGA being on the injury report yesterday, that they play the front end of the first half of this game, the first quarter of this game, and then the backups come in. And the backups come in and they play the rest of the game. That is the new state of the NBA, with the fines for benching star players. So you have to be wary about it when you start hearing that more guys are on the roster. And again, James reached out to one of the beat writers for the Thunder and got some information that essentially they have everybody with them tonight. So we'll see if an official injury report gets updated. This is also the 10 o'clock game. It is a nightmare scenario for us playing DFS here tonight, because we don't know if there's going to be a late add or update to the injury report within 2 hours, because they need to update their injury report 30 minutes before tip-off. So at 9:30, all of a sudden, we could get SGA ruled out for injury management, or, so-and-so, something of the like there. So all of that has to be considered when building out some lineups tonight. This is an example lineup we have for everybody. Going with Joel Embiid, going with a couple of value plays. Obviously, the Trey Lyles spot there, pretty contingent on Keegan Murray being out of the lineup. That's where the most of his minutes will find their way. You could make a pivot with $500 left over. I think Batum would be the pivot there, power forward, to get him into that spot there. But Beal, Monk, Powell, Lyles, Embiid, Jackson, Isaiah Joe, and Russell Westbrook, an example lineup for all of you out there. Again, if you haven't already liked the show, do so. We go live every day at 5 o'clock Eastern time right here. If you want to go ahead and become a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, get access to our premium Discord and all of our premium content. The QR code is there on the screen, or you can go to fantasyalarm.com/win. It's about $39.99 a month, but right now our annual subscription package is 40% off the monthly price. This includes all of our premium content, including our Fantasy Baseball Draft Guide that's going to be coming out within the week. So get ready for Fantasy Baseball season. But if you play NHL DFS, MMA DFS, PGA DFS, NASCAR DFS, we have the 3-time Racing Writer of the Year, Matt Sells, doing our NASCAR DFS content. Of course, the rest of the NBA season, the NFL offseason, anything that's behind the paywall gets covered with the All-Pro package there. So become a member of the Fantasy Alarm family today. You can try us out for a month. If you don't like it, cancel, but I guarantee you'll enjoy what we got going on here. Plus, you get access to our premium Discord, where guys like the Prince hangs out with us leading into the roster lock. Top pay up Joel Embiid tonight? We think so. I know the matchup against Nikola Jokic is at times worrisome for some, but right now Embiid is very difficult to guard. I think this is also a pretty good slate to build a fair and balanced build if you wanted to. Again, getting exposure to the Sacramento Phoenix game. You just want to game stack it. Go get yourself some Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, wherever you want to go about it. You can save $2,000 and get Kevin Durant or Devin Booker in your lineup. You can certainly go ahead and attack this slate in that direction as well, everybody. Follow us on Twitter if you haven't done so already, at JImpemba777, at @the_real_grande. Check us out everywhere. Get us over again in the Discord. Roster lock 7:30 tonight, so be by your phones. Turn your notifications on for all the latest news and updates. Again, get in the Discord. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time. Live show once again. We'll catch you all later.